So guys, just a continuation from what we've already like started talking about. What does it take to build the two most biggest and competitive teams in South Africa, right? In South African sports, soccer for football history, the two most well-known South African biggest teams right now and in since the inception of South African sports broadcasting. Those teams are Kaizer Chiefs, the biggest team in Orlando Pirates, right? And Pirates was, we all know that it was formed by Dade Irvin Khoza, and then the biggest team in that day, Kaizer Chiefs, Kaizer Metau. So what does it take like to build the two biggest teams in South? The two most competitive, most spoken about teams. So I will highlight the first two things. For you to build such teams, now, you need to think about this point, now, and then figure out ways that you can make sure that your teams or the team that you form, ne, it is able to achieve this. It is able to achieve this. Ne. You need to make sure that every man, every man in South Africa who sits down on his sofa at his house or in his apartment, in his hostel, in his anywhere that he sits down and decides to watch soccer, ne, no matter how old he is, be it he's 30 years old, he's 40, he's 50, he's 70, the little boy inside of him needs to stand up and jump up and down with joy each time he sits down and watches this team play on TV. And it doesn't really matter which other teams your team will be playing against them, but each time they sit down, the little boy inside of them need to be up and down, jumping with joy. You need to make sure that these people, they become commentators, unofficial commentators, not only spectators, not only fans and supporters, but also commentators. You need to make sure that this becomes their therapy. Your team, the team that you've decided to create, whether my brother or my sister, becomes their therapy. That during lunch time at work, they can anticipate. They can anticipate and look forward to having lunch time with their colleagues so that they can talk about the match that played last night. Which team was Kaizer Chiefs playing against? Which team was Orlando Pirates playing against? And there they become an official, not only spectators. What is this? An official football analysts. Okay, they become football analysts, my brother. They talk about how Teko Modise Mfana in his time, if he was still playing today, how he would have controlled that midfield, the other current Pirates, to make sure that they win the cup. No, not win. They become second. Okay, they become second in the PSL log list when this season ends. You need to make sure that these men, they become football analysts and talk about how Manasimpio Chabalala and Steven Penaramfana, how these guys, what are some of the things that they would do in the current team if they were still playing. And not only they talk about even the current players, what I see, I think Coach Mama, he needs to make sure that player, he only comes in ka disapa. He doesn't start the game. Like you need to make sure that your team, it makes everyone become passionate, become coaches while just watching TV. You need to make sure of that, my brother. You need to make sure that this becomes their therapy and this becomes something that brings them joy each and every time they sit down and decide to watch it, my brother. Do you understand? And this, you need to make sure that even the young boys growing up, they start to fantasize and see themselves as one day playing for those teams because of how glamorous, because of how much joy our elders, our brothers, our young brothers get just from watching these teams play live. And they also like see themselves one day being on that screen on TV playing soccer, bringing joy with their Kasi flavor fun to all these men. You need to make sure that your team becomes a stress reliever to the community of men. Do you understand? My brother, this is what it takes to build the best team in South Africa. Now, the biggest thing now, you need to make sure that you win cups. Like we do as Kaizer Chiefs. You need to make sure of that.